When people think about the architects of Allied victory in World War II, dramatic battlefield commanders often come to mind. Yet behind the scenes stood a calm, disciplined strategist whose influence shaped not only the outcome of the war, but also the peace that followed. That figure was George Catlett Marshall, a man who rose from modest beginnings in Pennsylvania to become one of the most respected military and diplomatic leaders in American history. Marshall's legacy stretches far beyond uniforms and battle plans. He reorganized the U.S. Army before and during the Second World War, helped guide Allied strategy at the highest levels, and later designed a recovery program that stabilized Europe after the devastation of conflict. Few individuals have had such profound impact on both war and peace. Early life. George C. Marshall was born on December 31st, 1880, in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. His family had deep roots in Virginia dating back to the colonial era, but by the time he entered adulthood, the family's finances were strained. Rather than pursuing business or law, Marshall chose a military path and enrolled at the Virginia Military Institute in 1897. His early academic performance was not extraordinary, but what he lacked in flash he compensated for with discipline and determination. By his final year, he had earned the prestigious position of first captain of the Corps of Cadets, a signal that leadership, not brilliance, would define his career. Commissioned as a second lieutenant in 1902, Marshall soon deployed to the Philippines. Those early assignments helped shape his character. Subordinates later described him as steady, self-controlled, and quietly confident. He was not flamboyant or theatrical. Instead, he commanded respect through clarity of thought, rigorous preparation, and an expectation that everyone under him would perform at their highest standard. World War I, a master of operations. When the United States entered World War I in 1917, Marshall played a crucial operational role. He served as Chief of Operations for the 1st Division, the first American division sent to France. Later, he became Chief of Operations for the 1st Army during the massive Meuse-Argonne Offensive of 1918, one of the largest and most complex operations in American military history at that time. Marshall was not a frontline celebrity general. Instead, he excelled in coordination, planning, and execution. His talent for organizing troops and logistics would become his defining strength. After the war, he served under General John J. Pershing and later became assistant commandant at the infantry school at Fort Benning, Georgia. There, he helped modernize military doctrine and influenced a generation of officers who would later become key commanders in World War II. His impact was already multiplying. World War II, the organizer of victory. On September 1, 1939, the very day Germany invaded Poland, Marshall was sworn in as Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army. At that moment, America's military was surprisingly small, numbering fewer than 200,000 troops. The global war that was about to unfold would demand something exponentially larger. Under Marshall's leadership, the U.S. Army expanded to more than 8 million personnel within a few years. He oversaw the training of troops, the creation of new divisions, the development of modern weapons, and the appointment of capable commanders. His eye for talent proved decisive. Leaders such as Dwight D. Eisenhower rose under his watch. Marshall worked closely with President Franklin D. Roosevelt and represented the United States at major Allied conferences in cities like Casablanca, Cairo, Tehran, Quebec, and Washington. He consistently advocated for a direct Allied assault across the English Channel into Nazi-occupied Europe, a strategy that ultimately culminated in the Normandy invasion. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill famously called Marshall the organizer of victory. The title was not exaggeration. While Eisenhower commanded the D-Day invasion, Marshall's behind-the-scenes leadership ensured the United States had the manpower, equipment, and strategic clarity necessary to win. America's industrial strength during this period earned it the nickname the arsenal of democracy. Marshall himself later reflected that U.S. mobilization involved more than 12 million personnel and cost roughly $350 billion between 1939 and 1946, an immense national effort that ultimately tipped the balance against the Axis powers. A war that changed the world. World War II, which lasted from 1939 to 1945, engulfed nearly every region of the globe. The conflict pitted the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, against the Allied nations, including the United States, Great Britain, the Soviet Union, China, and others. With an estimated 40 to 50 million deaths, it remains the deadliest conflict in human history. The war began in Europe when Adolf Hitler ordered the invasion of Poland after securing a non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union. Britain and France declared war on Germany days later. What followed was 6 years of total warfare, culminating in Allied victory in 1945 after the defeat of Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. By the war's end, the global balance of power had shifted dramatically. Western European dominance faded, and two superpowers emerged, the United States and the Soviet Union. Marshall stood at the center of this transformation. From general to diplomat, Marshall resigned as Army Chief of Staff in November 1945, but retirement did not last long. President Harry S. Truman soon asked him to serve as a special envoy to mediate the Chinese Civil War. Although that effort did not succeed, Truman appointed him Secretary of State in 1947. It was in this role that Marshall made perhaps his most enduring contribution to global stability. Europe lay in ruins. Cities were destroyed, economies collapsed, and political instability threatened to spread extremism. In June 1947, Marshall proposed a bold initiative, a massive American-funded program to rebuild European economies. The plan, formally called the European Recovery Program, soon became widely known as the Marshall Plan. Rather than punishing former enemies or retreating into isolation, the United States would invest in reconstruction. Between 1948 and 1952, billions of dollars flowed into Western Europe, helping to stabilize governments, rebuild infrastructure, and revive industry. The Marshall Plan did more than repair buildings. It strengthened democratic institutions, limited the appeal of communist movements, and fostered cooperation among European nations. It also laid groundwork for transatlantic partnerships that would shape the Cold War era. Secretary of Defense in final service. Marshall left the State Department in 1949 due to health concerns. But in 1950, President Truman called upon him once more, this time as Secretary of Defense during the Korean War. Though nearly 70 years old, Marshall helped oversee military preparedness and expansion during the early stages of the conflict. Even after leaving active office in 1951, he remained available as the highest-ranking general in the U.S. Army for consultation. In 1953, Marshall received the Nobel Peace Prize in recognition of his contributions to European recovery and global stability. Few military figures have ever been so honored. The award symbolized a rare dual legacy, success in war, and commitment to peace, a legacy of character and restraint. George C. Marshall died on October 16, 1959, in Washington, D.C., at the age of 78. By then, he had become a symbol of public service defined by integrity and humility. He was not a charismatic orator, nor a dramatic battlefield hero. Instead, his greatness lay in organization, strategic clarity, and moral seriousness. He believed institutions mattered. He valued preparation over impulse. And he understood that victory without stability could lead to future catastrophe. In an era of loud personalities and political turbulence, Marshall embodied restraint and competence. His career demonstrated that the most powerful leaders are sometimes those who speak softly, plan carefully, and act decisively when the moment demands it. From expanding an army of 200,000 into a force of millions to rebuilding a shattered continent, Marshall helped define the mid-20th century. His work reminds us that leadership is not merely about winning wars, it is about shaping the peace that follows. History does not remember comfort. It remembers decisions. It remembers leaders who stepped forward when others hesitated. If you're enjoying this breakdown of battlefield leadership and decision-making, please subscribe for more military history and leadership content. New videos are released regularly.